They'll take the work off, we're gonna overview it, they're gonna approve the same.
Relax, gentlemen.
Let's go back.
How have you been, sir?
I'm doing fine. Yeah, going all right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, we're gonna get tonight. I'm all right.
But it was on the roof for 50 years.
Did you see the? This is yours.
Okay, we'll go ahead and call the tonight's planning commission meeting to order. I'd like to welcome all of our guests this evening. And if we could do a roll call and establish quorum.
Mr. Matt Seal,
Here.
Steve Donahue,
Here.
Kevin Meadows,
Here.
Hubert Allen,
Present.
Steve Rosen,
Yes.
William Flippin.
Here. Okay, and we get a motion on the
Mr.
agenda.
Chairman, I move that we approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
Sorry. Matt Seal,
Yes.
Steve Donahue,
Yes.
Kevin Meadows,
Yes.
Hubert Allen,
Yes.
Steve Rosen,
Yes.
William Flippin.
Yes.
Okay, and we have a request to set a public hearing.
Thank you very much. Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. No request to set public hearing. We have the public hearing for this evening. It is for conditional use permit 26-02 for Firefly Point Event Facility. The owner and applicant is Mr. and Mrs. Andrew and Jamie Frieden. The parcel acreage is 14.053 acres. Address is to be determined Firefly Point, which is a private road located off of Columbia Road. The property is zoned A2 agricultural. Land use is currently vacant, although there is an existing agricultural barn on the property. Here we have a vicinity map, and the property is indicated by the red star in the top, the northern section of the county there. Here we have the zoning map showing the parcel is zoned A2 agricultural. Here we have the entire comprehensive plan map for the 2024 comp plan. And then here is the Cobbs Creek Reservoir Village Center, and the property is indicated by that tiny little red star that you see there. This is the aerial map that shows the property outlined in purple. It does show the existing barn there, the driveway, the existing fences that are on the property. Of course, this aerial map also was taken back in, I think it was 2022, so that was prior to the reservoir filling. Here's the current survey for the property. This survey was approved back on February 2nd of 2024. It shows 3 separate parcels. Lot 1 is indicating where the 14.053 acre parcel is, where the barn is. Lot 2 is a new vacant parcel, kind of in the middle. Lot 3 is showing on the very bottom, and that's where the existing dwelling is on this tract. Here is the current site plan that we have for the property. It does show the existing barn on the top left. There is parking indicated on the north side of the driveway, on the south side, on the bottom of the driveway, and additional parking on the east side closest to Route 690 Columbia Road. Mr. and Ms. Frieden purchased this property between Columbia Road and the Cobbs Creek Reservoir from Henrico County in 2023. They have since renovated the existing building and have hosted family and friends on the property. In 2024, the Friedens subdivided the property into 3 parcels, and the barn sits on its own 14-acre tract surrounded on 3 sides by the reservoir. Here's a little bit better indication of the parcel, and you can see on the north side, the existing barn, and then on the south side is the existing house. So the barn where they plan to have this event facility will be kind of on its own peninsula, surrounded by the reservoir. Rural charm of the property, along with the gorgeous views of the reservoir, will provide a beautiful backdrop for an event facility at this location, and the Friedens want to be able to share this site with others by way of hosting events here. They've also provided a few photos for me to include in the PowerPoint presentation tonight. This photo was taken at the front of the driveway, looking straightly directly down the driveway, looking at the barn in the backdrop. And here is a picture, I believe, taken from the house site, looking across the reservoir at the barn. And here we have a photo showing the nighttime with the sunset and the barn in the backdrop. And then here are some pictures of the inside of the barn where they have rehabbed it, redone the floors, added some internal lighting and things of the such. For planning implications, consistency with the comprehensive plan, objective 5.1 of the comp plan is to maintain the rural character of the county through preservation of the Cumberland's scenic, agricultural, and natural resources for the optimal benefit of current and future residents. Approval of the CUP will preserve the natural and rural character of the property while simultaneously permitting a new small business and welcome visitors into the county and provide a positive economic benefit to the existing county businesses. For consistency with the zoning ordinance, section 74-702 provides for standards that shall be considered by the Commission and the Board of Supervisors as part of reviewing any CUP application. All standards in this code section have been addressed satisfactorily by the applicant. For public engagement, notice of the public hearing was published in the Farmville Herald on June 3rd and June 10th. Adjoining property owners were sent notice of this hearing by first-class mail on May 19th. Notice was posted on the public hearings page of the county website and on the 3 bulletin boards in the administration building on May 19th. And staff has received no comments for or against this application. It is the opinion of staff that the request promotes good zoning practice and that the location and the intended use of the property are consistent with the zoning ordinance and the comprehensive plan. Therefore, staff recommends approval of this conditional use permit with the following conditions. Compliance with the site plan is required. The applicant shall comply with the site plan that was attached to the application and included in this PowerPoint presentation, specifically regarding those areas to be used for events and parking. Any substantial deviation from that site plan shall be submitted to the county zoning administrator and shall require approval. Development activities shall be limited only to those specified in the CUP application. For vegetative buffer, a natural vegetative buffer shall be maintained and left in its natural state on all property lines. And the applicant must comply with the Cobbs Creek Reservoir Watershed Protection Ordinance. The applicant shall comply fully with the ordinance within the designated areas on the property that are required and as showed on the site plan as submitted with the application. The applicant shall comply with all federal, state, and local regulations for the use of private water, sewer, and electricity. The applicant shall provide notice of the applicable permit from the health department indicating compliance with their codes for the uses. For refuse disposal, a container of adequate size shall be provided for disposal and emptied when full, but in no event it shall be emptied less than 48 hours after each event, and all refuse shall be screened from the public view. Hours of operation shall be limited to 8 a.m. to 11 p.m. daily. Noise shall be restricted between the hours of 11 p.m. and 7 a.m. Monday through Friday, and between 11 p.m. and 8 a.m. on Saturday and Sunday. Any lighting shall not constitute a nuisance and shall not produce a glare or spillover onto adjacent properties. And the applicant shall provide a written statement from the Department of Transportation indicating compliance with their regulations as to the existing entrance to the property. The last few conditions are standard and are included in every CUP application. Number 10 is for community safety. If the county or state law enforcement are required to respond and restore order and violations are confirmed, or citations are issued to those on the property more than 2 times in 30 days, the CUP shall be reviewed by the Board of Supervisors and may be revoked at the board's discretion. Number 11, the applicant shall at all times comply with all applicable federal, state, and local statutes, codes, regulations, and ordinances. A confirmed violation at any time of any federal, state, or local statute, code, regulation, or ordinance shall constitute a violation of the CUP, and the CUP shall terminate immediately upon the violation, subject to the terms in number 12 below. For number 12, non-compliance with any one or more of the conditions outlined in the CUP shall cause the CUP to terminate immediately upon the existence of the violation, provided, however, that the permit holder shall be given notice of any asserted violation and that the violation of any one or more conditions may be remedied. The applicant shall have a reasonable opportunity to correct the violation within 30 days of being notified, or a longer period if reasonable, as determined and the sole discretion of the zoning administrator. Notwithstanding any of the foregoing, provision of an opportunity to correct the violation or the provision of a warning of a possible violation which does not result from the termination of the CUP shall in no way be a waiver of any future enforcement of that condition or any other condition, and future full enforcement of all conditions, including enforcement resulting in the termination of this CUP, shall be made. We can all tell that an attorney drafted that, right? Number 13, if any of the conditions in the CUP are determined to be invalid or unenforceable or unlawful, it will not affect the other conditions which will remain and continue in full force and effect. And lastly, number 14, for the renewal of the CUP, regular renewal of the CUP shall be required to demonstrate continued compliance. Such renewals shall be subject to providing documentation from each referring state and local agency as to the applicant's performance and compliance with the criteria used to approve the use, as well as a review of any code infractions or violations. Renewals will be 1 year after approval, 2 years after the last renewal, 5 years after the last renewal, and then every 5 years thereafter. Also required would be a renewal after any upon any change in ownership, program provider, licensing type, or management. Any questions for me? Mr. Nami?
Why are you looking at me like that?
I see.
12 sounded very different. I know that we have had similar requirements, and 13 and 14, 10 and 11 all sounded the same, but 12 sounded different to me. Is that different?
12, I think, is the one that I took from, there was one meeting, one application that you had proposed changes to, and that's the one that I took it from specifically.
Well, I don't write like that, so that's.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry?
I said, I don't write like that.
Because originally, we didn't have, shall we give a notice in the violation? A reasonable opportunity to correct the violation. Of any asserted violation in the fourth sentence. Let's see. check that, but I'm pretty sure I took that as from the one application where you had suggested the changes.
If I recall correctly, when we worked on another CUP for an event center, the commission felt that individual who held the CUP should have the opportunity to be informed of the violation in writing and given a grace period to correct it. And then the zoning administrator would be given the discretion to extend that period.
Right.
And this was suggested by Mr. Donahue, if I'm not mistaken.
And
And
that's
this was
what's in
what
this.
we decided upon after consultation with the county attorney. So, I mean, this really gives the applicant or the holder of the CUP more opportunity to work in correcting a violation rather than just the zoning administrator going out and saying, you didn't have the garbage removed within 48 hours, I'm shutting you down permanently.
Right.
So this actually protects the applicant.
Yeah,
also.
I'm not saying I'm opposed to it. I just, the language is new to me. I know that, I do remember the arguments that I put in to have some kind of way of remedying it before there was actually a violation. So I do remember the discussion on that. I just, when you had mentioned that, 10 through 14 or whatever we put in all the applicants, all the applications. I just don't recall 12 being a consistent one in there. So I was just trying to get the history of it. Some of it's coming back now, but.
We've been using this now for probably about 2 years, I think.
Yeah.
2 to 3.
If number 11 is in there, where it talks about a confirmed violation, because
Right.
that was one of yours, that was one of your suggestions, a confirmed
Right.
violation.
Right.
This conditional use subject was subject to the terms set forth in number 12 below. Non-compliance with any one or more of the conditions outlined shall cause the CUP to terminate immediately upon existence, provided, however, they be given notice of the asserted violation. So I think the word asserted was another one of your recommendations as well. The violation of any one or more conditions be remedied. Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to go back and double check, but I'm pretty confident that number 12 was the revised language based on your comments and suggestions.
Yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily doubt it. I'm just, the other ones sound very familiar to me. And this one sounds very worked over by an attorney, to be real honest.
The language hasn't changed. No attorney has revised these conditions for event facilities for years, since we initially had them revised and looked over by the attorney when we originally had that discussion a few years ago.
Okay, and we just haven't had an event since then?
We haven't had an event facility.
Okay.
Any other questions?
I've got a question on 14, or just refreshing. When it says, such renewal shall be subject to providing documentation from each referring state and local agencies. Does that mean the applicant has to go and get a statement from the health department saying there's, just, what are we asking for there?
So like for the health department, they could email me, that's what we've been asking. Like the applicant can contact the health department and say, they've installed whatever the health department requires, they've obtained whatever permits are necessary. There hasn't been any violation cases or code issues from the health department for this event facility. Sheriff's office can send me an email saying that there's been no calls for service in the following year or whatever that time frame is. VDOT will send me an application or an email stating that the driveway is suitable or that VDOT is recommending a commercial driveway be installed. They can say that it was initially requested and it has been installed, it's been inspected, there's no issues, anything like that. So like for the initial 1 year after approval, that will be generally when I will get something from all three, VDOT, Health Department, and, I have a moment.
Law enforcement.
Yes, Sheriff's Office. Going forward, it would more likely be just Health Department and Sheriff's Office.
One
Yes, sir.
question, if I may. I noticed in the application that they are planning on using porta potties. Are the porta potties going to be set on some type of impermeable surface with a berm around that surface? So if there's a leakage or, heaven forbid, one is turned over or something accidentally, we won't have any runoff into the reservoir?
I think that's probably the best question for the applicant, but
That's why I
I can
directed it
say
to him.
that, my apologies.
That's all right, no
Um,
problem.
If we pull up the site plan here, if you want to ask Mr. Frieden to come up, and he can probably answer your question.
Should we wait till we open the hearing for that, or can we do that right now?
We can answer questions now.
Okay.
The public hearing would be for those who signed up to speak.
Okay.
But I have a question, and Mr. Chair, Ms. Johnson, happy to, they may be answered after the public hearing or any of the other people that speak. But I had some questions as far as the public health and safety part, which I know some of the other event places we have seen where they will have a sort of a pre-plan for emergency medical or even like a first aid station, kind of with Mr. Allen. But some of those simpler things like that, and being as this is like in the very well put together application in a beautiful area, and it could be very well done, and it's a very well presented application. And there's some good stuff in there, like no vehicles backing out into the roadway, or it's like 50 miles from the furthest other event venue that's in the county, which is on the south end, near the airport. So there could be like the questions would be if there's going to be some prolonged response time, or if there's anywhere in the CEP for that, or if that's something that would then be handled on a case by case. Does that make sense? And like I said, some of that might be answered and better saved for discussion after the public hearing. Please redirect me if I need to explain it further. Or if that's something that should be something addressed to staff in the CEP itself.
I'm not sure I understand your question. Is it about how the applicant will address?
Right, waiting to hear or see more, it says family events, it's like what size crowds are we expecting here? With the EMS resources or fire resources available in the county, its proximity to the reservoir, there being potential for, like Mr. Allen said, with waste, also being a person having some medical issue or becoming disoriented, and it looks very nice from the pictures in the presentation. Most of the roads are unlighted there. If there was a vehicle accident and you have fire EMS responding to some ancillary thing that's in the area, having to be able to redirect it there. And you have a nice thing about the sign, being able to get back there too, and it being so far away from that type of thing. But whether that's better something in the CUP or later on addressed.
I don't know that that is something that we can require.
And like I said, please redirect
conditions.
based on my limited experience or this time on the
Right.
commission. I don't know where that's best addressed, but that was my first thought. Is it sounds like a wonderful venue and it seems like
Yeah.
a really nice thing, but we've had very good luck with events in the county so far, but it does spread those resources very thin, and to set them up for success, whether they, like with events on the south end of the county, a lot of times when there's venues, the people that have the venues or the hosts will put out announcements like, if they're down there, there's a lot of Amish buggy traffic. We've had incidences in the county with vehicle accidents for people that are coming to and from the county that aren't familiar with the area, or these unlit roads or unmarked roads. Just thinking a forethought. How best to try to mitigate some of those potentials or you see what I'm saying?
So.
And I don't know that that's best addressed in the CUP, but those were. And please stop me if I'm going too far into discussion for staff report before the public hearing, because some of those
Okay.
questions may be cleared up.
Well, I think if we can have the discussion now and kind of clarify what the questions are, and maybe the applicant would be able to address them, and if not, then we can look at addressing them later on. Would it be beneficial to have or to ask, maybe not a part of the CUP, but to ask that the applicant, when they have events, to notify the sheriff's office?
Or the, I can't think of the title, but there's.
The fire
It's a
EMS
fire
chief?
events. More so because family events, it's in a very nice area, depending on crowd sizes. I mean, even if everything goes great, sometimes accidents happen.
Right,
And it's very far away. Somebody's have a medical issue.
okay,
And you have resources that are stretched potentially from Wedgewood Drive, where there's a wedding and event venue in
Right.
Cumberland, all the way to Firefly Point, which is about
far north.
39 miles in a 50-minute trip, according to Google Maps, to the very far north end of the county. You have only one, or are relying on mutual aid or other counties to come, maybe having an AED or a first aid station or some pre-planned place to meet or any other mitigating plan for that, which, I guess I have limited experience here, I don't know if that might make sense.
So maybe we can discuss with the applicant the potential for meeting with the fire department, the
Or even if
Cartersville
they have
Fire
like
Department.
there's another venue in the county where there's a sign, and I don't know that that would apply as far as the legalese of it, so this is not directed at any one venue or the other, where it's like, this is they do a certain type of events, and the owner or the host of the property owners is involved in any sort of liability.
Like an agritourism event?
I think that's where we've seen that before, yes.
Okay.
There's different things like that, which was making me think of it. I mean, even if it's something like somebody gets bit by it and has a reaction to a bee sting or something, there could be, and that's like really getting into the weeds of
Yeah.
what ifs of it. But it's better to, ounce of prevention, right? To have thought about that ahead of time.
Okay, well, I
And that's
don't
one
think,
thing that we've talked about, I think, before, with there being more potential and promise and hope for development in that area, with that being one of the community centers or the delineation within the comp plan for that area.
I think that's.
There's some geographical challenges for those services.
Right. I think that's something that we can talk with the fire department and the applicant about after the CUP meeting. I don't think that's something that we can require.
And like I
or
said, it may
list
not
as
be
a
best directed
condition.
to
Yeah.
that, but it's to, in the long run, I think, benefit the people that go to enjoy it, and to
Yes.
benefit the applicant, and,
I agree.
let's know what we have known ahead of time for that type of thing.
Yep.
To piggyback with Mr. Seal's concerns, I'm looking at the preliminary site plan. We've got a drive that's, I'm estimating by the scale, just doing some rough tick marks, to be between 900 and 1,000 feet in length from down into the event center. It doesn't show a width, but is that going to be adequate for two-way traffic? Is it going to be two lane, is it going to be one lane? Because when you start thinking about emergency access, if it's only one lane and it's blocked in our CUPs, that distance off of the road, we've required the drive to be adequate so two vehicles can pass.
Sorry,
That's okay.
I'm just trying to pull up our GIS map.
You've got people parked along, say you have a large event, people are parked along the road that's on private property, and you've got to get an ambulance or a fire truck or something in. It could present some difficulty for them to maneuver. And I think that,
That was better put than
That
mine. Yeah, I mean,
goes
you can what if
basically-
it to death, but like Mr. Allen was saying, and credit to the site plan, even having that already demarcated line to show them the forethought to even be considering it, but like say there's a wreck there, I mean, those are unlit two-lane roads, if there's a bad wreck, and there's a lane closure even. There's a lot of different things, and that has maybe nothing to do with this
I
application.
mean, 900
General
feet's
comment.
a long way to have to run with a jump bag and bring somebody out.
Yeah, so even if there's like a rally point or a place, some
Yeah.
pre-planned to go, or, it's very nice that it's out there on the water on the peninsula, but it kind of makes it hard to get in there by some other means.
I mean,
Maybe, unless there's some other resource from,
we've got,
one of the neighboring property owners there that could be of assistance.
we've got 2 proposed parking areas, one very near the entrance. And I'm assuming the major one, the primary one, will be down about midway. And the overthrow would be up near the entrance. But if it's only a 1-lane access in for a vehicle, 1 vehicle width wide, we could have trouble down accessing the scene.
So, I can show it here. On the GIS, I measured the driveway width. Again, these are photos from 2022. But from fence to fence, it's 33 feet.
Okay, that's fine, it just doesn't show the width on the preliminary
Correct.
site plan.
Right,
And that was my concern.
okay.
Do we have enough adequate access to the site? 34 feet is better than a lot of the secondary roads in the county.
Yes.
But I just want to be certain.
And now, if any of this information is incorrect or we need to be, please correct it when it's your time to come up.
No, I'm not trying to be critical,
No, no,
but
no,
I'm
no.
just trying to,
I just,
Make
I'm not
sure
trying
that
to answer
we're
the questions.
protecting everybody.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that the information I provide is correct. That's why I said he's
Right.
more than welcome to correct these.
like I said, it's just not showing on preliminary
Yes.
site plan.
And if the conditional use permit is approved, a final site plan will have to be submitted, reviewed and approved before they can go
Right.
forward with it. So at
Knew
that
that,
point, we
but-
can address that
That
information.
answers a lot of questions already then.
Okay.
Maybe before that's done, maybe that's already procedures or some of that's done in place, having the chief of fire and EMS take a look at it and see
He
what they
does.
think, because they know better. And
Yeah.
that might have addressed all the stuff that I just wasted
Yeah.
about 10 minutes of
No, and
trying to
that's
put into words
okay.
that he might be better suited to do.
Any site plan that comes in, I look at, I get VDOT to look at, I get health department sometimes, but of course, if they're using porta potties, they're not really required to look at it. But I do get the fire marshal and Darren Hurley, our chief of fire and EMS, they all look at it before it's approved.
Yeah.
So if there's any requirements for fire code or anything like that, they have to chime in on that as
And
well.
you do a great job getting everybody in all departments involved with it.
Yeah.
We just try to, I
Preempt it.
guess make certain that,
Fine tuning.
Yes.
that it's fine tuned before they have to take a look at it.
Yes. Yes, sir.
So I've got a couple of related questions. They're going to kind of work together, I think. And so I'll just kind of run them together. You can answer them, but maybe as we go along. But I want to preface by saying I'm highly in favor of this. So my questions are not in any way trying to minimize the project. In fact, as most of them know, I try to get people to do whatever they want on their own property. So, but this is an event facility, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so correct me if I'm wrong, this is the definition for Cumberland County event facility. Means a facility for hosting public and or private events, including but not limited to weddings, receptions, social events and parties, workshops, and or conferences, which is used as a venue for social, cultural, recreation, and or educational activities. Event facilities may include lodging accommodations. Under staff recommendations number 1, the last sentence, it says development activities shall be limited to those specified in the conditional use permit application and site plan.
Yes.
So, correct me if I'm wrong, but I didn't see any additional development on this property.
No, sir.
The inside of the facility looks great. I didn't get a good chance to look at the outside, but what I did see, I thought, it could use a refresher. That's just me.
Right.
So if they do some exterior upgrades to that barn, is that development?
Not necessarily, however, the Cops Creek Reservoir Watershed Protection Ordinance stipulates that the only refresh they can do is on the inside, because that barn is in the buffer area. So they cannot add any drain fields, they cannot do anything to the exterior of the building.
Interesting.
Other than maintaining the existing exterior walls.
Correct. They can't,
They cannot add on, they cannot install any additional lighting, any exterior lighting, a drain field, septic system.
And
That's
support bodies.
correct.
Yeah.
That's why the porta potties are needed.
And so in line with that same thinking then, let's suppose that a few years from now, this thing's a hopping wedding venue. And lots of people want to use it because it's a beautiful place on the water. And they decide, you know, we need to have a bridal suite put on the place.
Mhm.
Is that not possible?
They'd have to come back for an updated CUP.
But that would also be in violation of the Cobb's Creek ordinance.
Well, it depends on where they put it.
Yeah, it depends on where they put it, because not the entire parcel is in, oops, let me go back. If you see the shaded area, it's kind of hard to see, and of course I'm too short, but it's kind of like dotted, the shaded area where the dashed line is,
Yeah.
kind of up here. This whole top portion of it is in the watershed protection ordinance area. So there can be no development in that area. So they could potentially put it on the northeast side of the property, down this way, or on this other parcels over here.
Okay. My only other question is for the applicant, so that they have a chance to speak there.
Okay.
Thank you.
Do you want to readdress your question about the porta potties?
Well, I directed it to him,
Yeah.
and when the applicant is available to take questions, I'll direct it to him again.
Any other comments or questions for staff? Okay. We will open the public hearing. Thank you. We have one speaker this evening. I'd ask when you come up, sir, that you state your name and address, and we'll go from there. Andrew, is it Frieden?
Yep.
Andrew Frieden, please.
Good evening.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah, happy to be here. I feel like I need a chair to get down, but I'm sure you guys can hear me. 385 Firefly Point, which is the new name of what used to be a private road. I am happy to answer any questions. I think I can clear some stuff up, or maybe put your minds at ease a little bit. But when I started stalking, I'm a TV meteorologist. I work at the NBC affiliate in Richmond. I have a really good friend I grew up with in Northern Virginia who lives off of French's Store Road. And that's when I got introduced to Cumberland County when I first came here 20-some years ago. I'm like, I got to figure out how to get out to a place that's like this, like Cumberland is. Stalking and stalking and stalking. Drought of the early 2000s, which was maybe before you were even around and paying attention to things. Multi-year drought. That's when Henrico County was told, your water only comes from the James River. You know the James River can run dry. DEQ told them they needed to come up with a place to store some water that they could use if the James River ever got too low. So being an environmental scientist by training, meteorologist by work, I was like, I'm like, there's going to be a huge new lake that goes in somewhere. So I obsessively was watching and following and seeing what happens, and eventually finagled my way to convince Henrico to sell me this surplus piece of property.
Fabulous.
And I told and we went to them at a time at which it worked for them. And, they didn't, I don't think, want anybody living there or owning it when they were going, blowing stuff up and plowing things, and it would have been not good to have someone there, I think. So now we've mortgaged our future to buy what I think is one of the most beautiful pieces of land in the Mid-Atlantic. I mean, it's really, really gorgeous. So then we started inviting friends out, and we're coming out, we're trying to figure out how do we get our life full-time to Cumberland County, maybe at some point in the future, and live in the house, which is on that southern parcel. And in the meantime, people that come out there, and Stephanie could probably back me up on this, you go out and you go, what in the world is this? This is gorgeous. Yes, I know the outside of the barn needs work, but it's not getting any work because it's in the watershed protection area, which we are excited about. We don't want people around the reservoir adding stuff on and digging and running silt into the water, which you can look about 20 feet down, by the way, and see it's so clear. Anyway, I'm rambling. Long story short, this is something that we're sort of reluctant wedding venue operators. You may have people that come in that like dream of weddings and dream of venues. In this case, this is a way for us to maybe defray our costs of ownership of this parcel. And it's silly to just have it sit there and not be used. So then the comprehensive plan, I'm reading about that, it fits perfectly. Like no offense if there's naysayers, but you couldn't pick a more perfect, I don't think, fitting into that comprehensive plan description of the Cobb Street Village area. We're not asking to put up condos or anything like that. We're not gonna add a bridal suite anywhere. In fact, we have the house currently on Airbnb, and we have had some people already who've rented it and love it. So that could be something that also works with this, that if there's a wedding or a bridal party, my anticipation is that they would rent the venue and also rent the house for the weekend. And they'd have the rehearsal dinner there or whatever else. The road is, who was the question about the road? Like, maybe it was from you, like, it is so wide open and so easy to get in and out. If you went to the property, you would completely be at ease. I mean, we've had the new garage doors delivered by just come right in, you can loop around, it's flat, it's packed, it's at like the top of, the road is at like the top of a ridge, so it stays dry. Ingress, and it's very easy. I can't imagine that VDOT would have a problem at the entrance and say you need a commercial entrance because it's just like wide and you go right in and, field parking, you guys are in Cumberland, we're talking about and the other thing is we don't think people are gonna come back and forth to the barn. My anticipation is that people will park up and either walk down, or we may have my son or daughter or somebody valeting people back and forth. Because when people have weddings, they don't want to see a bunch of cars parked everywhere. So our thought is that the cars might even be, there's like a triangular portion, that's one of the places that we put, that's up closer to the road, that you can't even really see because there's a buffer there, but it's on that little like triangle portion. My thought is that if we have a family that wants to have a wedding, we're gonna probably be like, you know what, let us park your cars up here and let's have people walk down to the barn. People who come from non-rural areas, that walk is a gorgeous, like you just sort of feel, okay, we're in the country and the sky is blue and it's gorgeous. So the issue of getting in and out, I think, is not a problem. And in terms of letting the sheriff and EMS know that we're gonna have something, or EMTs know, that makes perfect sense. Hey, we're out here having a party. We've had parties before. I've been to other parties in Cumberland County. I've been to a tractor pull and I know the county can't handle this and the volunteer crews can handle it. And I'm not even confident it's gonna be more than a few weekends a year. Ideally, we have so many people that are interested, it goes bonkers. And we have extra money and we put in a bridal suite that's up out of the watershed protection area. But at the moment, I have a full-time job. My wife is a dental hygienist, so she can't be here tonight. She's cleaning teeth until 5:30 in town. So we are just sort of, this is a let's see if it'll work. But from the reviews of people going to the property, they're like, why are you not having weddings here? So that's why we're here today. So happy to answer any questions if you have any.
The only question I had, which Ms. Johnson answered, was about the width of the road going in.
Yeah.
I just couldn't determine from
Yeah.
your preliminary.
And I would
site
mention
plan.
that the videos, the pictures that she has include, you can see some trees on there. Those were Bradford pears. You know anything about Bradford pear trees?
Yeah.
They're the worst trees ever. And I cut them down promptly, which I'm allowed to do in the watershed protection area because they're an invasive species. And I replaced them with, one of my biggest investments out there was 6 willow oaks. So we've got some replacement trees there that I think will fit better. But there's tons of room. I mean, even on the other side of the fence. So we're cutting for hay in a lot of that area that you see out there, or we have a neighbor that's doing it. So it's wide open, easy in and out.
The other question I had was about as far as siting the porta potties.
Yeah, it's a great question. I hadn't I hadn't thought about people knocking over a porta potty.
As far as is it going to be some type of impermeable surface that they're setting on?
So we have had, and
Because
yeah,
if you get the sewage into the lake, Henrico County's not gonna be happy,
understood.
DEQ's not gonna be happy.
Yep.
The possibility of it happening is very
Yeah,
minor.
I think that we have a spot, we have had, we call it the Firefly Festival, kind of tongue in cheek, because it's really just a party for friends and family, so it's not really a festival. But we've had one for the past 4 years since we've owned it, and we've gotten porta potties each time, as you know, because there's no, you have to go all the way over the house to use the facilities. And we set up one, do you have the aerial view that shows the sheds? There's basically 2 sheds that are near the barn,
Right.
and we just put it right behind, yeah. We just stuck it right here, basically. I don't know, can you see this one? I have to go to this one. We stuck the porta potties, right here behind them, so people had a little privacy. But you're still really far away from the water. I mean, even if that's, you would have to have like, you'd have to run a hose for a long time to get water to go down into the thing. So I had not thought of a party where the porta potty would go fall over. I hope that doesn't happen. I hope we don't have that
I
kind
hope
of
not
people.
too, but it's just something that,
Yeah, it's a-
having worked with DEQ and EPA, it's a question.
Yeah, I think that, I don't anticipate, even if the porta potty fell over, that there'd be anything going down into the water. I can't imagine you'd have that much volume of liquid to really get it. I mean, that's a big, long run down to the water. And that's what we've done, and this is an example of kind of why we feel like it's a good thing. So my wife has done it, so I apologize, I don't know the name, but she's rented the porta potties, and it's been a non-zero amount of money that's gone into the Cumberland, economy from us renting porta potties. That's just sort of an example. We have people up the street who've done some cleaning for us in the house. This is a way to, I think, leverage what you allowed Henrico to do. This would leverage that for the benefit of the people of the county. But my thought is, and I think that we have someone who we've already talked to a little bit about it. There are some people that will come in on the low end and they won't pay us very much money at all, and they'll just use the property and have a barbecue in the barn and a couple porta potties. But if it works out really well, you might have like a high-end wedding where have you seen those trailers that they plug them in? We've got water at the barn, we've got power at the barn, so you could have one of those real high-end facilities, which would be even harder to knock over. But yeah, I hadn't thought about that, but that's a good, we've put it up on, we take wood and just level it when we do it.
I want to commend you and your wife. This is probably for an event center.
Yeah.
This is probably one of the best CUPs in my tenure on the planning commission, which.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. Well, we had the wonderful assistance of the huge staff of the planning and zoning office and all of the many people that contacted us. But no, Stephanie was real valuable in helping us do it right. We wanted to do it right. And we also felt like it fits. Like it's like you will go out there and you go, oh, I want my kid to have their wedding here. I mean, it's gorgeous. Yeah.
Now, I know there are not a great deal of homes in that area.
Right.
I know they built a few new homes along Columbia Road there, but I don't think they're really close.
No, it's kind of down and to the left.
Have you spoken to any of the other homeowners that are?
The Holcombs are the only, I don't know if you know the Holcomb family, but right on the other side of Columbia Road, I think maybe Stephanie could point it out. Really, one of the things that intrigued us greatly about this property is that, can you see this one or should I point over here?
This one's probably.
So Henrico so this huge parcel that you see here was 10 plus years ago, Raymond York and Amy Judge. They were horse pupils, they owned this property, 120 or 160 acres. So Henrico bought, so this is all underwater. So Henrico's like, hey, we're putting a reservoir in, and they're like, we don't want that, we want to have land for our horses. So they're gone. So when we negotiated with Henrico to buy it, they've kept this above ground land and this above ground land. So on the north side of our property, there's about 8 acres. And then Henrico's big house that they still own, which is up here. So we have this spot where we have 25 acres. There's an 8 acre Henrico buffer, which is just pasture and woods. and water, and then a whole other Henrico property. So our next door neighbor is in Henrico County, and nobody lives in their house. You know what house I'm talking about?
Yes.
Big old white house in Columbia River, yellowish. It's like, that place is also gorgeous, and something needs to happen, or should happen. That's a different day. But then you go south, and there's a big buffer there. The church holds events, right? They literally have people there all the time. It's literally right there, and then there's a couple other neighbors on this side, and then a couple of houses right here. But they're a good, they're half a mile almost away.
Yeah, they're not local.
Yeah, we see, even in the winter, we see one little light, they may see one light from us, like barely twinkling through the woods. So that's the other part of this whole process, we're like, this is like, this beautiful, quiet, private place where a family can come and just be a family and celebrate a big life event. So this is the church, this is a vacant parcel, that as far as I can tell, it's owned by trustees of someone, and I think that my sleuthing has determined there's like 50 descendants who own this 6 or 7 vacant wooded parcel. The Holcombs are right here. We become friendly with the Holcombs. They do cattle, and his grandson, I think, at some point is going to take over that property. And they were the one people who were kind of reached out, and were like, what's going on? Why is there a sign out there? And they were the only people that I would have expected to maybe be here and say, hey, can you make them be quiet at 11 o'clock at night or something? But we've got a good relationship with them, and so it's like, I talked to friends about this, and they're like, there's nobody there. Like, there's no next door neighbor, really. The church is the closest neighbor, and it's just a spot that, every time my wife and I it pops into our head, we're like, we can't believe that this is ours. How fortunate we've become that it all worked out, that we are here. And this is a plan. Oh, and I don't know if I mentioned, yeah, I did. The house is on Airbnb, which we did all of the paperwork appropriately for that too. And so that's one of our expectations. In fact, so we're allowed to have, as far as we can tell, like we can have parties, we could even have weddings out there, we just couldn't charge anybody. So we had someone who was thinking about getting married in September and October, and if this whole process had been stretched out or hadn't happened yet, we were just gonna say, well, you can have a wedding there and just enjoy, because that's what we feel like it sort of needs to be there. Just calls for people gathering and having a good time. Happy to answer any other questions. Yeah, so the old map, I didn't know you could turn this later on.
Yes.
And you're gonna have to show me where that is. Because I spent a lot of time on this, and I did not know that was a thing. But yeah, that shows you in between the house and barn, there's water, yeah.
So my question is, I'm assuming you have read over all 14 of the staff recommendations?
Yeah.
And you're in agreement with them?
Yeah, I mean, it all is reasonable. Yeah, I mean, when you talked about, what if they want to add a bridal suite, like we're not, first of all, we don't have any money left, right? So we're not, like we're stretched. We really mortgaged our retirement and our future to make this happen. Because we thought it was a once in a lifetime opportunity for our family to do this.
It scares me. If I were reading these and it was on my property and it said there's no development other than what's stated here, it would scare me.
No, yeah, but let's say we, so we do own in the wedge there's the middle parcel is fully by right developable. Let's say we're like, oh my gosh, this is a huge success, but people are asking for a romantic cottage. Well, we can just build one there and follow the normal processes that anybody would do. I should also mention that there's a well on the barn's property. The well that supplies the house also supplies the barn, and believe it or not, the water runs under the reservoir. And the power runs under the reservoir, which is how it was just like a creek that when they put it in. But there is a well, if that system ever fails, there's a well over here that we own, that we just haven't ever turned on, which runs water additionally down the barn parcel if we ever needed it. But we haven't done it because CVEC was like, well, if you turn that on, it's on a separate thing and you owe us $25 a month or something. We're like, okay, well, we don't need it, so. But there's power, there's power, there's water. If we wanted to do septic up farther out of the watershed protection area, we could do. There's potential for development if for some reason Firefly Point turns into this like amazing thing for.
Should be great.
Yeah, and so we have but we're totally fine with going in front of you and talking to Stephanie and doing it, you know, the right way. But we don't have any desire to be building more things, which could happen in the future if things change with our personal, but we're not coming at this like, I guess if we wanted to, we would have done that now.
Yeah.
Yeah, we would have said, oh, we're gonna do a bridal suite, and we're gonna do, you know, one of the thing that I would do first, if I could, is out of the watershed protection area, somewhere around here, like build like a bathhouse kind of thing, like a, not even bathhouse, but like a shower sink area, so that if you're here, you don't have to buy porta potties, right? You could, that, you know, out of the watershed, but I don't have any desire to, we're not so in love with the wedding venue idea that we're gonna like get a huge loan and do a bunch of stuff.
I think you're gonna find that that location will lend itself to you potentially doing weddings every single week.
That would be amazing. That'd be great for the county, it'd be great for vendors that we would use in the county.
I think you have that potential there.
I appreciate it. Here, do we have time to get into this, or should we? Yeah. The big limitation that I think we have is the lack of lodging nearby, right? Lodging. So the reason why I'm not convinced that this is gonna be a gangbuster success, even though when you look at it, you go, this is gorgeous and this screams wedding venue, is that when anybody rents it, their nearest commercial hotel, Sign Crossroads, Shore Pump, Charlottesville. So you're talking about if you wanna have a big wedding with a bunch of people, they're getting a bus to go back, or they're driving back. So, you know, when you include the folks at Rassaweck, and you include a couple other Airbnbs, Hooper's Rock Farm is nearby, there's Riverview on the James, there's a cabin nearby, there's 50-ish places, beds for people to be in nearby, which may work out, but I think that our limitation is going to be what is also really good about it, which is that it's in a rural area. So it's got the one negative. If I was coming here going, I'm making it work every weekend, you've got certain families that are like, we can't, it's too far for us. However, I've talked to a lot of bride and bride-to-be people, and they say, well, if you have a house that we can rent where we can do our makeup and have a clean place to sleep, it'll happen. So I would love it if that happened. If we had to raise the price to slow things down, or we were busy so much that my life and my wife's life changed in a huge way, that would be a big win for us. We would be delighted. But that would be like, everything's gotta work perfect. I think we're gonna probably come in somewhere between there and nobody being interested. But it really is, I mean, Stephanie about it, it's gorgeous out there. But thanks for your time. Any more questions? Happy to answer them.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Well done.
Nice to meet everybody. Thanks, Deb.
We will close the public hearing.
Mr. Chairman, I'm going to go ahead and put the motion out because I think the commission will agree with me that this request meets the intent and spirit of the zoning ordinance and the comp plan. I move that the planning commission recommend to the board of supervisors approval of CUP 26-02, CUP for an event facility to be located off of Firefly Point, identified as tax map parcel 6A3C1B.
Second.
Matt Seal,
Yes.
Stephen Donahue,
Yes.
Kevin Meadows,
Yes.
Hubert Allen,
Yes.
Steve Rosen,
Yes.
William Flippin.
Yes.
All right, old business.
So I don't really have any updates for old business, but I do have some new business for you. Great. First item under, new business is a Board of Supervisors update from Mr. Paul Stimson.
I have nothing to report, but thank you again.
I have a question for
you. Yes, sir.
How are we doing on a county administrator?
That is still being worked. We are finishing up on some stuff.
Okay.
Once we do that, we will announce.
Okay.
What about a new commission?
Yes, the new commissioner, that was my question last
New
time.
commissioner as far as.
We sent applications or
Okay.
referred.
Has that been forwarded to the board now?
It's been included in the board packet. I don't know whether, I don't believe it's made it to the agenda, but it's been included in the,
It was not on our last agenda, and so no, we don't. No, I'm
We
not
gotta
sure
replace
who
Mr. Miller.
already has the names, but I have not gotten any yet. For a commissioner. So,
I'll put them back on in the
Okay.
board packet folder for next month.
and correct me if I'm wrong, but like I said, I haven't seen, because we still have other opportunities out there with Piedmont City Resources, Scouts, and some other boards that we're still waiting on applicants. And I'm really looking at some from our district. I've had to pull some at large from other counties to fill some of the ones that I'm on outside of the county that have to do with the county. If that makes sense. So, a lot of vacancies, but again, I haven't seen any of those. So thank you for bringing it up, because when you say commissioner, you got me, so.
Okay.
Okay.
Planning Department report?
Thank you, sir. For the month of, I should say May, I apologize. For approved subdivisions, we have a total of 5. Pending is 54. Plats, surveys, and site plans, there was 1 approved and there's 39 pending. Zoning permits, there was 21 approved, 0 pending. Residential E&S was 7. Commercial E&S, there are 0 approved, 3 pending, and there have been 0 CUPs or rezonings approved, and there are 6 pending. For the building inspections department report, there were 14 new homes approved, 0 commercial, 76 other, 9 certificates of occupancy, for a total fees collected of $14,023.87, for a total estimated value of $2,945,983.52.
And did we have anybody sign up to make comments tonight from the general citizens comments? Okay. Commissioners, anybody have any comments or questions we'd like to go over this evening?
I have one comment about the event, and I don't know whether health department requires it, and I'm certainly one would require it, but AED is probably statistically the one thing that saves lives, so that might be something to consider.
I don't know if I'm allowed to talk still, but it's very good. And easy to do.
Okay. We get a motion, please.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we adjourn to 20 July 26 at 6:30 p.m. at courthouse for our next regularly scheduled meeting.
And second?
May be needed.
Second.
Matt Seal,
Yes.
Stephen Donahue,
Yes.
Kevin Meadows,
Yes.
Hubert Allen,
Yes.
Steve Rosen,
Yes.
William Flippin.
Thank you.
I think I will be gone at that meeting, though. I think I will be away
On that, okay.
Josh,
And we changed the box.